Good morning, everybody. Good afternoon, wherever you at. I hope you're doing well. My name is Chris, the American Magpie. You're right here on the NUFC Insiders YouTube channel, and we have a video to react. The video we did it a few days ago. We reacted to a Rory Jennings statement that Eddie Howe should be sacked, and we reacted to it. And people liked that video so much that I got another video to react. Some people said, "Me, you need to react to this video by Simon Jordan as he shuts down reports that Newcastle United must sell top stars to bring in new players." This was an interview that was done. I mean, this was a segment that was done about 9 days ago, and people wanted me to react to what he said uh, in context to what we're seeing now with Kieran Trippier, with Miguel Almiron potentially going to the Saudi League. We're going to talk about that. It's actually something that could very well happen. We're going to talk about that later on, and maybe in the live show later, or if not tomorrow. But regardless, we have a video for that as well, and yeah, we're going to react to all this stuff. Of course, don't forget to subscribe, hit the bell for notifications. That way you don't miss out on any more Newcastle United content from this American perspective. We have all kinds of Geordies, Newcastle people, pundits. You've seen it all. Check out our catalog in the recent days. We've had a lot of people. We've had Mitch from NUFC Matters. We've had Billy Bob from the Tune Review. We've had a lot of people. Paul Clark from the John Sinclair TV show. You know, we got a lot of people. So listen, we're gonna have more coming up as well. So stay tuned for that. And let's not mess around, man. Let's start with this and let's get to it. Let's see what Simon Jordan had to say about what Darren Eales had to say and the possibility of Newcastle United having to sell stars.
So a player or some players may have to go out, but others will come in. And we're not talking about January, we're talking about the summer. So, Simon, you're taking this now. In fact, after 10:30, I brought this up with Eddie Howe just before we came on air. And you'll get Eddie Howe breaking it down for us a bit more in layman's type language, which helps me, no doubt you, Stuart, and others listening this morning. But, Simon, is it right to say here that Newcastle believe the Premier League spending rules are preventing them from breaking up the top six? And the reason I ask you that is that many people are now messaging in, and I'll pick one at random. There's one, I don't see a name in it. Morning, guys. I do not like FFP. Trust me, I have no love lost for Newcastle United. But is it not the case the established clubs have built themselves up prior to FFP coming in? So clubs like Newcastle, Tottenham, Everton have no real chance of catching up with the ones who have been in the FFP camp and observing it from the word go.
But that's always the argument that's levelled, and the argument is levelled that ultimately it protects the cartel. That wasn't its purpose in the first place. It was to increase the sustainability of football, so it's not determined by the individual whims and outcomes of people that run businesses that either run out of money or have different agendas, right? So that was their purpose.
So put what Eales is saying in layman's terms.
So what Darren is saying in layman's terms is, of course, Newcastle are caught in the same way that Manchester City are caught. Chelsea had a free-for-all, right? Jack Walker had a free-for-all. In terms of there's no governance, and as the years have gone on, the sophistication has become more succinct, and ultimately the governance has become more strident. So Newcastle have, first of all, they've increased their revenues. So this season's revenues will be significantly greater than last season's revenues because they've got in the Champions League. So if their turnover was 250 million last season, right, then their turnover will be 300 odd million this season. So they've already created some more headroom in this season's finances. They've produced accounts that they have to produce.
That is true, but we're not able to use that Champions League money yet. It has to be at the end of the season for us to be able to capitalize and use those earnings
now very quickly, because the rules have changed and the industry is getting more sophisticated in managing outcomes so that people can get consequence quickly and not have, unlike some clubs, years and years where they don't have to answer anything to it. So the bottom line is Newcastle have spent heavily at a time, and let's also be clear, we were told last summer that Newcastle wouldn't be spending in any shape or form of any great significance. They spent 150 million quid. So they still spent. Now, some of this is about protecting the position that the media positions Newcastle as the world's richest club. They're not the world's richest club. They have the world's richest owners. How they can deploy that into the football club gives them an opportunity to build.
I'm with you. So more than 400 million has been spent on players since the Saudi takeover.
Is it that much? I thought it was 300.
But further investment could rest upon selling a key asset, one would presume, to free up.
But that's an assumption.
Funds.
But that's an assumption.
Is that the wrong assumption?
Well, that's an assumption, because if Newcastle's agenda is to build to get to eclipse the top teams and to compete with the top teams, they're hardly going to sell their best players. They're going to do what Chelsea have done, which is look at assets that potentially aren't going to take you to the promised land, but do carry some intrinsic value to the football club and to other football clubs. And they're going to, like academy players, like Chelsea have done with Mason Mount, like they might do with Shalabar, like they might do with other players.
So they might do that with Longstaff, as I mentioned
and
earlier.
possibly that's the answer.
So you're saying this morning, no, Newcastle fans relax because they won't end up selling Isak, Bruno or Botman.
I doubt it. And if they're going to sell Isak, Bruno or Botman, it's because they're going to get such a ridiculous offer in the same way that Manchester City sold Leroy Sané or they sold other players at certain times. Now, I do concur that it's become more difficult because of the timing. It was more difficult for Man City than it was for Chelsea. And so it's absolutely become more difficult for Newcastle. And I do actually advocate for a slight dispensation on new ownership models, as I wrote about the other day, saying they should have an increased opportunity to be able to invest for a period of time and then fall in line. But that's not the current rules. I do not see in any shape or form that Darren Eales is suggesting, besides a leap on it by the media, that they're going to sell their best players, because that would be a fool's errand, because they're after increasing their revenue. And the only way to increase their revenue is by performances on the pitch.
Sure.
So they've got that performance on the pitch. They've got an extra 50 million quid near on out of the Champions League this year. So they're already into the 320 million pound bracket. So they fixed that problem. As far as the losses are concerned, I guarantee you they will have between 50 and 60 million worth of allowable adjustments, which will take them underneath the financial fair play that looks like they're already breaching for the last 3 years' accounts.
I understand. We're going to hear from Eddie Howe on this.
And that is it. I mean, basically what he was saying is it's really interesting. I think new clubs should be able to expand, should be able to invest, rather said, on their new company that they buy. If not, what is the purpose? We were talking about it yesterday with Mitch. I mean, why would anybody buy into any business if you're not able to invest? That is the biggest thing. And we've been talking about FFP for a while now. It's kind of boring, to be honest, but at the end of the day, it's something that we are struggling with, something that Newcastle United is going to have to overcome. Now, the question is for the fans, really, are we going to have to sell big stars? I mean, we're seeing right now that Bruno Guimaraes earlier was linked to PSG. I don't think that's going to happen, and I don't think he would go anyway. But Joe Linton the next day, and then you got Isak linked to Arsenal, and it's just a bunch of rumors. What is really heavily got legs on it, and it can stand on its own, is the Kieran Trippier situation with Bayern Munich. We're told right now that Newcastle United had declined all kinds of loan possibilities or even selling possibilities, to be honest, this winter. They don't want to sell Kieran Trippier, and we'll see what happens. If the player wants to go, there's nothing you can do. Well, I mean, there's a lot you can do, to be honest. And this is the thing. What I mean is there's nothing you can do is with most clubs and owners. Our owners don't like to be told what to do, don't like to be told when you need to leave, when you want to leave. Our owners hate to be told what they can spend money on. So all this is really upsetting to the new club owner. So, to the PIF, to say the least. And it's something to keep in mind. Now, today, things come out about Miguel Almiron with the possibility of going to Saudi Arabia. So things are catching, basically are showing signs that we might get rid of somebody in this transfer window. We need to get somebody in, right? We need to buy somebody. We need to be able to add a midfielder. We need to be add a striker, a winger, etc. Harvey Barnes are supposed to come in. Joe Willock is supposed to be coming back in. Anderson, I have an update on that that is actually from the club, and I don't like to sell a smoke screen or anything like that. And I know that you guys think you're in America. How could you know? Well, I've met up with some people that know, and they told me something about Elliot Anderson that it's not really hopeful for people. So unfortunately, I can't confirm anything yet, but it's not looking good. So I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't come back soon at all. And that's as far as I'm going to leave it. But listen, what do you think about what Simon Jordan had to say? Let me know in the comment section down below. Are we going to have to sell our stars? He said this 9 days ago. Now, today, every single day, it seems like a new link, a new rumor comes out about Newcastle United. For the most part, it's about players leaving and not players staying. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the smash the like button. Let's get to as many like buttons as we can. That only helps the channel. And stay tuned because there are big things coming up. You have to follow us all across social media, and it's going to only benefit you. So I appreciate it for the support. We'll see you